Hello, it's Sarah from Hardcover Arts, and I'm here today to do my second catch and release. And let's be honest, there's no release. It's just catching because I'm on vacation. We're in Rome and took a day trip to Florence and did a little bit of book buying while we were there. So let me jump right in and show you what I've gotten. So the first up, we stopped at a very, very lovely little side street. And we were on our way to the Pantheon. And I was very excited. I've always wanted to see the Pantheon. I've always wanted to go to Greece. So if you're not gonna go to Greece, that's the next best thing, is to see some of the old Grecian style architecture here in Italy. And so very excited, and we walked from where we're staying. We're staying near the Spanish Steps, between the Spanish Steps and Piazza del Popolo. And a great location, fantastic, near the Borghese Gardens. So we walked all the way through to the Pantheon, and as we were walking, all of a sudden I looked up and saw I want to make sure I'm pronouncing this right, AltroQuando on one side of the street and Otherwise bookstore on the other side. Now, AltroQuando is all Italian books, and I'll play a little clip of video as I talk that had all of these beautiful, beautiful covers. I've never seen books. They were interesting size, as well as the covers were a little textured, almost as if it's watercolor paper that it was printed on. Beautiful colors. I did not recognize any of the authors or any of the books. I have a dream that I was going to buy one of them and just take a chance and take it home and try to, as like a puzzle, solve and try to study it and learn Italian by decoding it and translating it. But let's be real, I have a full-time job and I have other things that I need to do. So I decided to leave those there, but I still am thinking about how beautiful those books were. Maybe if I win the lottery someday, I'll come back and get some. But until that day, they remained there. Then we walked across the street and saw the other bookstore, and that's the Otherwise bookstore. Both are independent, and the quality of the books there were and the selection was outstanding. So let me show you a little bit of what I ended up getting. The first thing that I saw that I knew I had to have was a different edition. I think I've mentioned before that one of the things I love to do when I travel is going and looking at the different covers of books that I love, because I think it tells you something different. It's a subtle way to indicate some other things that maybe you hadn't thought of for that edition. And so I saw this outstanding beautiful cover of my top 10th favorite book, and this is Hope in the Dark by Rebecca Solnit. And this has a blurb by Robert McFarlane in the front. So I thought that was lovely, given the fact that he just released Underland, which is getting a lot of praise and something that I want to read. So this is a beautiful edition. My edition, signed edition, is with my friend Ben. Ben, you know you have it. Finish it and give it back to me. Thank you. This will be a nice test to see if he watches the video. Next up is, speaking of gorgeous covers, I really love the Ali Smith covers, the photographic covers that are kind of mod-ish. So I saw this, and I've never seen this book before, and I've definitely never seen this cover. And I'm starting to be very interested in Ali Smith and her writing. This is Girl Meets Boy, and I'm really enjoying these. This is called the Canons series. So gorgeous, interested in checking this out. Then I saw a paperback that I don't often find in the United States and haven't seen in a while, so I thought I would grab it. I have the second book in the series, but I do like to read the first before reading the second. And this is Pages for You, and this is Sylvia Brownrigg. This tells the story of a young woman who goes to university and falls in love with a professor. It's a lesbian story. It's supposed to be exceedingly beautiful, very well told. Beautiful love letter to a lost lover, it says. So really looking forward to reading this. I have for a while, so maybe I'll be able to jump in this when we're on the rest of our trip. Then when I was last in England, I grabbed a little bit of the series. This is some poetry. I'm still very intimidated by poetry. Looking forward to spending a little bit more time and trying to understand it a little bit more. And I'm very heartened by all of the booktubers that I have uncovered who actually will dissect a poem and spend a little time trying to understand it. That's been so helpful to me and making me feel a little less dumb about and less intimidated by poetry. So I'll put a link to a couple below. I know Brian at Bookish has done a few that I think were absolutely lovely, and Jay has also done a couple that were really interesting to me. So I'll link a couple below. But I thought I needed to get this. This is Lord Byron. This town definitely has an influence from Byron. As we were walking up to the Borghese Gallery, there's a huge statue. I'll put a link to that up here to Lord Byron. So I know Lord Byron was kind of a rogue and kind of a dilettante and got in trouble and did a bunch of drugs and was kind of a radical in his day. So I don't know much though about his writing. I suspect that if he was someone in pop culture today, I'd probably despise him. But we'll see what his writing has in store. So I thought this would be a good reminder of a trip here in Rome. And then in that series as well, they had this from Thomas Hardy. And so this is a collection of his poems selected by Tom Paulin, who I know nothing about. These are both Faber Nature Poets series. I read From Far From the Maddening Crowd this year because of Doris. She did such a raving, beautiful review, just so heartfelt about how amazing this book was, that I had to run out and find a copy. I did read it, agree 100%, fantastic. In fact, I probably should have put Gabriel Oakes as my crush for the year, because just what a good man. But I have not read any of his poetry, obviously. So when I saw this, I thought I would grab it as well, because I've never seen this in the United States. But the kicker was I was having a wonderful conversation with Irene, who is the bookseller there. And we were just chatting about all sorts of books. And I looked up above her shoulder in the shelf, kind of facing you, kind of your last minute purchase, fancy shelf. And I found this. This is the Penguin Book of Italian Short Stories. It is edited by Jhumpa Lahiri, but the kicker is that it's actually signed by Jhumpa Lahiri. So I really couldn't let it go, could I? I had to get it, and I had spent a little bit of time reading The Leopard by Giuseppe di Lampedusa with my buddy Reed, and we had a fantastic time reading that. It was so good, so interesting, so much more interesting than I ever anticipated and expected. And when I found out that there's a short story by di Lampedusa in this, I thought that that was a really lovely additional bonus to get. So happy, even though it's a heavy one and I'm probably going to pay for it when I'm traveling back, smuggling it back in my suitcase, I'm happy that I did it. And then yesterday we went to Florence, and the first thing that we did was stop into one of my favorite bookstores in Florence, and that is Paperback Exchange, and it's right off the Duomo, and it's just lovely. And it's all American books. Really great selection. What I love is they have both used and new books, so that's fantastic because you can pick something up that you're just gonna read and leave somewhere. So it was great. The selection's usually really good, but this time I couldn't find anything that was unique and that I couldn't get in the United States. So I just didn't feel like I should, or the one thing I did find that I wrestled with a little bit was Big Sky by Kate Atkinson was there. But they do this thing in Europe, or specifically here in Rome, where they have these huge books. They're just gigantic paperbacks, and the printing is really large, and I think it's for seniors, which is, very, very nice, and I probably am going to need that eventually, so I might one day be really happy that exists. But for right now, when I'm traveling, it's just really ineffective for me to carry something so large and bulky in my suitcase, in my carry-on, and just have around with me as I'm trying to do some sightseeing and just want something to read if we're in a cafe or trying to take a little break. So I ended up deciding not to get that one. And also I need to catch up. I think I have 2 more books in that series before getting to Blue Sky. And I know that with Kate Atkins, I think that people have said that you don't have to read them in order, but I tend to, I don't have a ton of rules about reading, but that is one that I do prefer to read them sequentially if possible. So I let that one go and did 2 rounds of the bookstore and just didn't find anything that I really needed. And then I saw them unpacking their latest books, and oh God, I used to work in a bookstore, and I hated when people used to have new releases, and I was that person. But I saw them put this up, and I just really heard so many good things about it. This is Celestial Bodies by Jokha Alharthi. And this won the Man Booker International Translated Prize. And then Marilyn Booth did the translation, and I ended up reading it. It was so hot in Florence. Oh, it was scalding. So we found a couple places to hide and read, and I'm about a third of the way through it. Really enjoying the voice. It's multi-generational, multi-perspective stories that are kind of leading, tying into each other. Very compelling, really beautifully written. I'm enjoying it so far. So that is it. That's my haul, and I'm incredibly proud to say that my newly reader husband actually has finished 2 books on this vacation already. He finished The Whites by Richard Price. Richard Price was a writer for Homicide on the Street and The Wire, and so he has a very cinematic, great dialogue, a great sense of place type of writer. It's a police procedural set in New York. I read it and recommended it to him. I thought he would enjoy it, and he did. He just flew through it. And then he just, speaking of flying through a book, he just read Moriarty by Anthony Horowitz, who I haven't read yet. So I'm very excited that we might be switching, so I could read that. And he found a couple books that he'll be enjoying now, and he's reading upstairs as we talk, because we're taking the day off after trolling around Florence the entire day, and just the heat is too much. So taking it easy. I'm doing some filming, doing some reading. You won't get this until later. That's it for me. Ciao for now, and I'll see you later. Bye.